Canned food used to be the ultimate convenience. Open, heat, eat. The biggest worry was finding a can opener. And the worst thing that could happen was cutting your finger on the lid. So let's expose the 7 canned foods that belong in the hazardous waste bin, and the 2 that actually deserve space in your pantry. Subscribe and like us, because life's too short to gamble on dinner. First up, the villains of canned foods. Vienna sausages have been a gas station staple since the early 1900s, originally inspired by Austrian Frankfurters, but Americanized into something far less dignified. These stubby little meat tubes represent everything wrong with ultra-processed canned meat, wrapped in a package small enough to fool you into thinking they're harmless. One tiny can contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium. That's 1/3 to 3/4 of your entire daily limit in a snack most people demolish in 3 bites. For anyone managing blood pressure or kidney disease, this isn't just excessive, it's medically reckless. Your kidneys don't care that the can is cute. They still have to process that sodium tsunami. The reduced sodium labels are pure theater. Federal law only requires 25% less sodium to earn that badge, meaning you're still mainlining dangerous levels while feeling virtuous. Worse, many brands swap regular salt for potassium chloride, which sounds harmless, until you realize it can cause cardiac arrest in people with kidney disease or on certain heart medications. Vienna sausages are low-acid foods requiring perfect sterilization to prevent botulism, the tasteless toxin that paralyzes your nervous system and kills you. A 2023 Kagra brand recall exposed packaging defects that compromise sterile seals. The can linings contain BPA, or sketchy BPA replacements that Europe has virtually banned, while the FDA shrugs. Add cancer-linked nitrites and kidney-stressing phosphates, and you've got maximum risk in minimum packaging. These little tubes of regret should stay at the gas station where they belong. Canned tuna became an American staple during World War II rationing and has remained a budget protein ever since. Starkist, Bumblebee, and Chicken of the Sea have convinced generations that canned tuna is wholesome and safe. The reality involves mercury accumulation, histamine poisoning, and botulism risk that the industry downplays with impressive dedication. Mercury is the silent assassin in every can. Albacore, white tuna, contains roughly 3 times more mercury than light tuna because bigger, older fish accumulate more heavy metal over their lifetimes. Mercury doesn't leave your body quickly. It camps out in your brain and kidneys for years, causing neurological damage that manifests slowly. For older adults already dealing with cognitive decline, adding mercury exposure is playing Russian roulette with your remaining brain function. Histamine poisoning is the nightmare nobody mentions. When tuna isn't properly refrigerated during processing, bacteria convert amino acids into histamine. Cooking doesn't destroy it, so even properly heated tuna can poison you with symptoms mimicking heart attacks, flushing, rapid heartbeat, difficulty breathing. The FDA receives regular histamine poisoning reports, but recalls are rare because proving contamination requires testing the exact can that made you sick. The 2025 recall involving multiple brands exposed compromised seals and easy-open lids, creating perfect conditions for botulism. BPA linings remain standard, with BPA-free alternatives using replacement chemicals Europe has already flagged as problematic. Despite the omega-3 marketing, canned tuna carries enough chemical and biological risks to make that fish oil supplement look safe by comparison. Campbell's introduced condensed soup in 1897, revolutionizing American kitchens with shelf-stable convenience. Over a century later, canned soup remains a comfort food staple. Chicken noodle for sick days, cream of mushroom for casseroles. That nostalgia disguises a sodium disaster so extreme it should require a prescription. A single bowl of popular canned soup routinely exceeds 1,000 milligrams of sodium, nearly your entire daily limit. Most people eat the whole can without checking serving sizes, unknowingly consuming up to 1,800 milligrams in one sitting. For anyone on blood pressure medications, this creates dangerous interactions and undermines the very drugs meant to protect your cardiovascular system. Reduced sodium is meaningless theater. Federal standards only require 25% less than the original, typically leaving you with 600 to 800 milligrams per serving, far from safe. Only low sodium, under 140 milligrams, or very low sodium, under 35 milligrams, labels represent genuinely safer options. And those taste like sad, salty regret. The potassium chloride substitution shows up here too, particularly dangerous for millions of Americans with undiagnosed chronic kidney disease. Cream soups add phosphate stabilizers, hidden sugars, and occasional undeclared allergens. As low-acid foods, soups require perfect sterilization to prevent botulism. Processing failures are rare, but catastrophic. BPA-based epoxy linings remain standard despite Europe banning BPA in 2024. Every bowl represents convenience versus cumulative cardiovascular damage, and the odds aren't in your favor. Canned chili emerged in the early 1900s as cowboy convenience food, with brands like Hormel perfecting shelf-stable recipes. That thick, meaty stew seems harmless until you understand that chili's low acidity makes it a perfect breeding ground for Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria producing the deadliest toxin known to science. The 2007 Castleberry's botulism outbreak hospitalized multiple people and triggered one of the largest canned food recalls in U.S. history. The bacteria thrives in low-acid, low-oxygen environments, exactly what canned chili provides, requiring temperatures above 240 degrees Fahrenheit to destroy spores. Any processing shortcut or equipment failure turns dinner into potentially lethal nerve toxin. The sodium content rivals soup, typically hitting 1,000 milligrams per cup. Most people eat the entire can because who saves half a can of chili? That single meal delivers more sodium than you should consume all day, spiking blood pressure and forcing kidneys into overtime. Reduced sodium versions predictably swap salt for potassium chloride, creating cardiac risks for anyone with kidney disease or taking ACE inhibitors. Phosphate additives maintain that thick texture while simultaneously adding bioavailable phosphorus that accumulates in arteries and weakens bones over years. The processed meat means nitrites, preservatives the WHO classifies as probable carcinogens. BPA linings and questionable replacements complete the chemical cocktail. Canned chili combines everything dangerous about industrial food: botulism risk, cardiac arrest levels of sodium, kidney-stressing additives, and hormone-disrupting can linings. The convenience isn't worth slowly poisoning yourself. Canned peaches, pears, and fruit cocktail became pantry essentials during World War II rationing, providing year-round access to seasonal fruits. Del Monte fruit cups became iconic lunchbox items, and Dole's canned pineapple made tropical fruit accessible nationwide. That wholesomeness is an illusion maintained by drowning mediocre fruit in corn syrup. Heavy syrup canned fruit contains 40+ grams of added sugar per cup, equivalent to 11 teaspoons dumped directly into your bloodstream. Light syrup isn't much better at 25 to 30 grams. For older adults managing diabetes or heart disease, this sugar bomb sabotages medication effectiveness and blood sugar control. Studies link high added sugar intake to a 40% increased risk of death from heart disease. Higher intake triples that risk. The fruit itself has been cooked into mush at temperatures that destroy most vitamin C and antioxidants that make fresh fruit valuable. You're eating sugar-soaked fruit-flavored fiber with minimal nutritional benefit. Rinsing helps slightly, but can't remove sugar that's penetrated the fruit tissue during processing. BPA linings remain standard despite Europe's 2024 ban. The acidic environment actually increases BPA leaching into syrup, maximizing chemical exposure with every spoonful. Artificial colors like FD and C-Red No. 3 in maraschino cherries are linked to cancer and banned in U.S. foods starting in 2027, but they're legal today. Recalls have exposed heavy metal contamination, lead and cadmium, and foreign objects in canned fruits. Canned fruit and syrup is wholesome imagery hiding processed garbage that actively harms your health while delivering none of the benefits you expect from eating fruit. Popeye made canned spinach an American icon in the 1930s, and generations of parents have forced their kids to eat it, believing they're serving nutritional gold. Canned spinach does contain iron and vitamins, along with cadmium, dangerous sodium levels, oxalates, and enough vitamin K to complicate blood-thinning therapy. Cadmium is the nightmare hiding in every can. Spinach aggressively absorbs this heavy metal from soil, and it accumulates in your kidneys and bones over decades. Unlike mercury, which eventually leaves your system, cadmium builds up progressively, causing kidney damage and bone brittleness that manifests years after exposure. The FDA has no enforceable limits on cadmium in vegetables, so there's no requirement to test or disclose contamination levels. The sodium content hits 700 milligrams per cup, more than a third of your daily limit in a side dish. No salt-added versions still contain around 200 milligrams, naturally occurring in spinach. When brands reduce sodium, they substitute potassium chloride, creating risks for anyone with kidney disease or on heart medications. Spinach is naturally high in oxalates that contribute to kidney stones. The vitamin K content interferes with warfarin and blood thinners, requiring obsessive consistency or constant medication adjustment. As a low-acid food, canned spinach requires perfect sterilization to prevent botulism. BPA linings continue leaching chemicals with each can. The better alternative is frozen spinach, which retains more nutrients, contains no added sodium, and avoids can lining chemicals entirely. Canned spinach proves even healthy foods become problematic when processing adds contamination and chemical exposure. Chef Boyardee launched canned pasta in the 1920s, creating an entire category of shelf-stable Italian-American food that defined childhood for millions. Those little ravioli cans and spaghetti with meatballs represent pure nostalgia and pure ultra-processed garbage designed for infinite shelf life rather than human nutrition. Canned pasta is ultra-processed food at its worst. Minimal actual food, maximum preservatives, engineered for consistency over years rather than nutritional value. A single cup contains 740 to 1,300 milligrams of sodium, added corn syrup to balance acidity, phosphate additives for texture, and nitrites from processed meat that the WHO classifies as known carcinogens. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry experiment. Multiple forms of sugar, modified food starch, textured vegetable protein, artificial flavors, and hidden allergens, milk, soy, wheat, egg, sesame, buried in vague terms like natural flavoring. Reduced sodium versions swap salt for potassium chloride, the same dangerous substitution plaguing every other canned product. Acidic tomato sauce accelerates BPA leaching from can linings, maximizing endocrine disruptor exposure with every bite. Europe has drastically reduced BPA exposure limits. The FDA maintains its permissive stance. BPA-free alternatives still leach hormone-disrupting bisphenols that haven't been adequately studied. Improper storage in hot garages accelerates chemical leaching. Leaving leftovers in the can after opening allows metal ions to leach into food, creating metallic taste and additional chemical exposure. Canned pasta proves nostalgia is a terrible reason to eat something. That comforting childhood taste is actually corn syrup, excessive sodium, carcinogenic preservatives, and hormone-disrupting chemicals. Your memory might be fond, but your body is paying the price. Before we reveal the 2 canned foods that once slowly poison you, hit the like button and subscribe if this investigation has changed how you look at your pantry. Now here are 2 canned foods you can actually trust. Canned beans are the rare convenience food that actually lives up to health claims. Black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, pinto beans, these legume staples have been commercially canned since the early 1900s. and remain one of the safest, most nutritious shelf-stable foods you can buy. The pressure cooking process reaches 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, ensuring complete sterility and eliminating botulism risk as long as cans remain intact. Beans require minimal additives beyond salt and sometimes calcium chloride for texture. The sodium content is legitimately manageable through a simple fix. Rinse your beans under running water for 10 to 30 seconds, and you'll remove 33 to 50% of the sodium. This works because salt sits in canning liquid rather than penetrating bean structure. The nutritional benefits are exceptional. Half a cup delivers 7 to 9 grams of protein, 6 to 9 grams of fiber, significant potassium, iron, and folate. That fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria, lowers cholesterol, stabilizes blood sugar, and promotes healthy digestion, exactly what older adults need. The protein supports muscle maintenance without saturated fat loads. Can linings have shifted toward BPA, non-intentional or fully BPA-free formulations, reducing chemical exposure compared to older canned products. Always inspect cans for dents, bulges, or rust before buying. Compromised cans should be discarded immediately. Canned beans represent everything canned food should be: nutritious, safe, affordable, and convenient without chemical additives or excessive processing. They're genuinely heart-healthy, kidney-friendly, and deserve permanent space in your pantry. Finally, a canned food that doesn't require an apology. Canned tomatoes are the gold standard for safe canned food, and it's not even close. Unlike low-acid foods requiring perfect sterilization, tomatoes are naturally high-acid with pH below 4.6, a level hostile to botulism bacteria. That acidity provides a built-in safety margin other canned foods simply don't have. Commercial tomato canning dates back to the 1800s, and the process has been perfected over generations. Industrial retorting exceeding 240 degrees Fahrenheit ensures complete sterilization, killing bacteria, yeasts, and molds. Properly processed canned tomatoes are actually safer than many fresh alternatives, which risk listeria contamination from field conditions and handling. Processing paradoxically improves nutritional value. Cooking tomatoes increases bioavailability of lycopene, the powerful antioxidant providing cardiovascular and cancer-fighting benefits. Canned tomatoes deliver more absorbable lycopene than fresh tomatoes, especially when paired with olive oil. This is one rare case where processing enhances rather than degrades nutritional quality. Sodium content varies dramatically by brand, making label reading crucial. No salt added and low sodium versions deliver flavor and nutrition without cardiovascular stress. Look for very low sodium, 35 milligrams or less, or low sodium, 140 milligrams or less, to ensure genuinely reduced sodium rather than marketing deception. Can linings have largely shifted away from BPA epoxy, specifically for tomatoes due to high acidity accelerating leaching? BPA-free is now standard, though some replacement bisphenols remain. If you want to eliminate can concerns entirely, glass jar or carton alternatives provide the same nutritional benefits without metal packaging. Canned tomatoes prove canned food doesn't have to be dangerous or nutritionally bankrupt. They're safe, nutritious, versatile, and genuinely beneficial. The rare canned product deserving enthusiastic recommendation. The canned food aisle has become a minefield of sodium bombs, chemical exposure, and processing risks disguised as convenience and nostalgia. The 7 foods worth avoiding share common threads: excessive sodium that sabotages cardiovascular health, potassium chloride substitutions that endanger kidney patients, BPA, and replacement chemicals that disrupt hormones, and botulism risks from low-acid foods that require perfect processing. The 2 foods worth buying prove that canned food can be safe, nutritious, and genuinely beneficial when companies prioritize food quality over shelf-life engineering. Your pantry is valuable real estate, and every can you buy is a vote for the kind of food system you want to support. Choose wisely, Read labels obsessively. And remember that just because something has been on store shelves for decades doesn't mean it's safe. Please like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what you think.